What it do, baby? Welcome back to the Eurosteppers podcast, guys. Today we're bringing you guys some new content, a new format. We're calling it Hot Takes, and basically we're each going to have 3 points, some takes that we believe in, and we're basically going to be defending those.
Yes, sir.
So without further ado, let's get into it. My first take is that Damian Lillard will stay in Portland for the rest of his career.
Garbage take. I got to disagree with that one. I'm just going to go out and say it. If the Portland Trailblazers don't make any moves that satisfy Damian Lillard this offseason, he's bouncing. That's all I got to say.
You know, I'm just going to say that Dame is a big guy on loyalty. I think, too, what separates him from a lot of other superstars is the fact that he's, kind of stayed in Portland. And he's made that clear. You know, I think he posted a controversial Instagram caption.
He did.
Or a post. I think he, tagged Nipsey Hussle, and he said something about how long can one wait before opportunity meets preparation, or preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah, that was it.
You know, I do agree with your point, how they kind of have to make moves to satisfy him. You know, recently they let go of head coach Terry Stotts. They kind of had to, but don't forget, too, this is a team, they made the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Got swept by the Golden State Warriors. I think KD was injured that series, too. Even last year, too, you know, they took game 1 off LeBron's Lakers. Then Dame got injured in game 3, they lost. But yeah, I just think Dame, you know, I think he's kind of separating himself from other superstars based on his loyalty. And I think his character, he's kind of known around the NBA as being a real one and stuff. And I don't think he's gonna, you know, he's not no KD.
No Harden.
Yeah, nah.
No Harden either.
Harden stuck it out in Houston for as long as he could.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Obviously, I think, but I think recently with the Trailblazers, they linked Karl Anthony Towns there. But yeah, that roster definitely needs to go under and develop. But I think Dame, even if he doesn't win a ring, I think he is he's gonna stay so true to his character that he would rather stay in Portland the rest of his career and without a ring, then go join a super team to win a ring.
You know, I respect loyalty so much. You know, my favorite superstar, obviously, the most loyal guy in the NBA. Him and Dame are up there. They have that really deep sense of loyalty in them.
Yeah.
It's it is a part of who they are, and I respect the hell out of that. The one thing I will say is that sometimes loyalty can only take you so far, and for your legacy, sometimes that trumps your loyalty. And if you feel like you're giving your all to a franchise that won't give anything back to you, and in terms of giving back, I mean getting pieces that you know will help you and will basically be there when you aren't showing up. But the thing is, Dame has always showed up.
Yeah.
He just needs a guy that shows up with him. And CJ, for me, has not been that guy. Nurkic has not been that guy. I think that they really need to evaluate their options and get a player like a Cat, like you said, or I'm not sure who else is out there, but they need to find a player that will be able to be the Robin to Dame's Batman.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna say I think CJ is not the problem. I think he's fine because those two are one of the most skilled backcourts in the league. Yeah. But for sure, they need a dominant, a big, a nice big.
The thing is, what pieces do they have without putting CJ in that mix to get a dominant big? I just don't see how it's possible getting anyone on at least the same level as CJ without trading CJ. And that's why I think if nothing happens this year, possibly he'll stick it out one more year. But if nothing happens in the next 2 years, Dame is leaving Portland.
Well, we'll see, bro. We'll see.
All right. And now for my first take, I'm fending this. The Suns versus Lakers series is a taint on LeBron's legacy. And let me explain why. Let me explain why. People always criticize MJ at the beginning of his career for losing to a super team. Not the Suns, a super team in the Boston Celtics. Danny Ainge, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, and John Havlicek, if I'm correct.
Bro, if you watch
the
Netflix the Last Dance documentary, bro, when Jordan dropped 63 on them in the Garden, that team was full of bums. Straight up,
a lot of people disagree with you. You say
LeBron would have given them 80. LeBron would have dropped 80.
Larry Bird is no bum. Larry Bird is one of the greatest small forwards of all time. Let's just get that straight. And here's why I believe, like I was saying, MJ went out early, first round, surrounded by absolute dolts. He had no one. You can't even name one player that was on that team. You can't. I know you can't name a single player that was on that Bulls team in 80 83, I believe. Maybe 84. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but most people in the NBA in the 80s
no
weren't,
one
the
knew
league was full of
anyone
bums
on that team.
Straight up.
MJ was surrounded by bums. LeBron had Anthony Davis for 3 games. Granted, AD was injured for another 2 games, so I'll give him that. But LeBron had good role players. This was a team. Let's not forget this. This was a team that won the chip, and by many, many people, many media outlets, many analysts, many journalists, even NBA players, even NBA sporting directors, all those things believe that this team got better. So an NBA championship team got better over the course of an offseason. They acquired Dennis Schroeder. They acquired Montrezl Harrell. Let's not forget, these are 2 6-man of the year candidates.
Yeah.
2 6-man of the year candidates the previous year. And you got both of them on your team. They got Marcus Gasol. Of course, he's not as good as he used to be, but he still provides good interior defense for you.
Trash, bro.
He still provides good interior defense for you. He's a good replacement for Dwight Howard, who was lost.
Dwight Howard is easily better than Marcus Gasol.
You cannot knock that he was a good replacement for Marcus or for Dwight Howard.
Nah.
Maybe not as good as Dwight Howard, but they filled that gap. They got Andre Drummond. You can say Andre Drummond's a bum all you want, but Andre Drummond on the Cavs, Andre Drummond on the Pistons was averaging double-doubles every single game. He was great on the offensive glass. He was great on the defensive glass. He did the dirty work. So this is not a bum that you're dealing with. Maybe he didn't play well, but on paper, this team was favorite by far to win this chip. Maybe the Nets had a chance, but for the most part, the Lakers were the favorite. AD goes down, we get that. But to get folded like you did in 6 games, and for the final game to not even be close, it was basically a 20 bomb that they went out by. And where's LeBron to be seen? 24 points, 30 points in both game 5 and 6. Come on, man. For me, that's not enough.
Well, look.
24 and 30 points, which is approximately 26 points per game. In the final 2 games that will put you out of the playoffs, when you're supposed to be winning this chip, is not enough. And I'm telling you right now, MJ wouldn't let that happen.
No. And look, no, I'm gonna say 2 things. Well, maybe 3, but number 1, if you look at MJ, this is year 18 for LeBron. No other superstars received the criticism that LeBron has in year 18. If MJ was playing at, I guess, 40 years old, which is only 2 years older, at the same age with the Wizards, what was he doing on the Wizards? Nothing.
Oh, it's the Wizards.
Hey,
what? So what is the comparison?
The
it's the Wizards, bro.
But look, I'm just saying, MJ was old. He didn't do anything when he was old. And
oh my God, bro! You have to also realize he was retired for 4 years between those 2 breaks.
So he was probably
4 years.
He
quit basketball.
Because
4 years he quit basketball. That's not a fair comparison at all.
No, he was gambling. But look, also if you look at the rest, the offseason, for example, I think they only had 71 days of offseason. MJ always had 3-4 months. LeBron had that big ankle injury too. Everyone knows he's not the same player. When AD was injured too, obviously I think like you said, the role players were a massive disappointment. On paper, they were definitely better. I think Andre Drummond is just he's a stat sheet stuffer. He provides no value to winning whatsoever. And also, if you look at the rest, if you look at the final 4 teams from last year, you have the Denver Nuggets, Boston Celtics, Lakers, and the Miami Heat. 3 of those 4 teams all went out in the first round.
So I guess that proves my point that I said previously. I guess this proves my point previously that I said that the bubble was a fluke. I guess this further proves my point.
I don't think it was a fluke.
Saying that, remember when I said that
huge factor,
the Lakers ring was a Mickey Mouse ring and that it was one of the easiest rings in the past decade or 2, and you disagree with me, but now 3 out of those 4 teams, like you just said, were bounced in the first round.
And the main reason is because of injuries and rest. If you look at the Lakers, LeBron,
for sure. Every team has dealt with injuries this year.
If LeBron was healthy,
CP3 was playing on basically a broken shoulder.
No, but
he was injured as well.
He tweaked his shoulder. It wasn't that bad.
He was not.
I watched the game.
It was badly injured, and he still grinded it out and got the W. So let's not act like one side dealt with injuries when the other did, because CP3 was also injured and he played through it and he played fantastic.
CP3 could still dribble and shoot. AD was out. AD couldn't even walk.
80 for sure, but LeBron was good to go.
LeBron's
tiny sprain ankle. Come on now.
At his age, at 36 years old, when you have an ankle injury like that, he talked about his rehab process. He was for 6 months straight. He said it was the most stressed out he's ever been.
Oh my God! This is also the same guy. He was the same guy that said that there was 3 rims and he shot for the middle one. I think we both know he's a little bit of an over-exaggerator.
Nah, but I'm just saying if LeBron was healthy, then it would be fair. But because LeBron was injured too, obviously he should have been more assertive as well. But I think he's received way too much hate recently,
But
and
the
I
thing
think
is,
a lot of it was on his role players.
This is what I don't understand. You say that other superstars at that age weren't receiving that criticism, but other superstars at that age weren't being called the best player in the world. Beginning of the season,
when did I call him the best player in the world?
Beginning of the season, it
never
was
called him the best player in
widely
the world.
regarded that LeBron James is the best player in the world. So yeah, when you don't show up in the playoffs, you're gonna get that criticism. So all this cutting of slack for LeBron, saying that he's 36 years old. No. Where was that at the beginning of the year when everyone was saying that he was the best player in the world? He was ranked first on Bleacher Report. He was ranked first on ESPN going to the season. Everyone said he was the best player in the world. So you don't get cut slack when you go out in the first round. That is unacceptable.
That is fair, but because of the injuries, like I said before, I think you have to. Because at the end of the day, like it or not, injuries plays a major factor. And especially on a Lakers team too, where it's not like that team is only LeBron and AD. Like the other guys, all the other guys are replaceable. If AD and LeBron, no matter how well or bad the other guys play, if AD and LeBron aren't fully healthy, that team wasn't going to win regardless.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you're a top-heavy team like that. Granted, but I just think that this cutting of slack for LeBron, blaming it on everyone but him, when this is his team and he played all 6 of those games, I think that there's a little bit too much slack being cut for the guy that was considered the best player in the world this year. That's all I got to say.
That is fair, but yeah, I think with injuries, obviously he should have been more assertive, but yeah, talking about, best players in the league and in the world, my next take is that Luka Doncic is a top 3 player in the world right now. And that has been proven by this Clippers and Mavs series. I think that is a completely fair and honest opinion that a lot of other people out there will share as well.
I don't think that anyone's going to share that opinion. Yes. I think it's close. Top 5, I'll give you that. Top 5. But to say he's top 3 and to disrespect players like Curry, players like Kevin Durant.
I'm not disrespecting Curry, bro.
You're disrespecting Curry by saying that. You're disrespecting
Curry's in there. Curry's in my top
You're disrespecting Curry. You're disrespecting Kevin Durant. You're disrespecting Giannis. Those 3 players are better than Luka Doncic.
Bro, if you watch what he's done in this Mavericks series, obviously they lost yesterday, Game 7, cold third quarter, but if you look at what he's done, bro, like how many 40-point games he had, yesterday he had 42, 45 points. The step back, the kind of shots he's hitting, the only other player doing that is Curry and James Harden. And that's why those 2 other players
James Harden is not
my
do
top
that
3.
Like those 2.
Yes,
don't put James Harden on the same level as Luka and Curry. Don't do it, please.
He's in there, bro.
Let me just say this right now.
James Harden's in there.
Let me just say this right now. 50% of the game is defense. Let's get that straight. And that's 50. That means that 50% of the game Luka is incapable of doing. For all the credit that we give Luka on offense, we have to also give him criticism on defense. And he is a liability on defense. He is also part of the reason why he is a liability on defense. You can't call him a liability. He is most definitely.
He's not the greatest defender, but he's not a
liability. They go at Luka.
No, they don't.
The Kawhi and PG. Well, PG sucks right now, so I can't even say anything about PG. But Kawhi goes at Luka.
Bro, Kawhi goes at everybody, bro.
They set up double teams and mismatches to get people on Luka.
No.
That's what I watched the Game 7. That's what they were doing.
That is completely false.
And that is what happened. And that's how they found easy buckets, bro.
That is completely false.
Everyone else on that team is a good defender. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a good defender. Kristaps Porzingis is a good defender. He's terrible on offense, but he's a good defender. Who else on that starting line? Maxi Kleber is a good defender. All these are good defenders. But
you cannot say Luka's worse than them at defense, bro. He's a 6'7" point guard.
He is most definitely worse than Tim Hardaway Jr.
When you have a 6'7" point guard, you cannot be a bad defender.
Of course you can. He's slow. He's slow. He's not good at shuffling his feet.
If you see he's
a poor defender.
Look at him on offense blowing by guys. He was blowing by the league's most elite defenders and Kawhi and Paul George.
He ain't blowing by no one. He has great handles.
Go watch the clip.
He has great handles.
He was
100%.
blowing by all of them.
He has great handles, which cause momentum to shift, which allows him to get by people. But he's not a fast player. He's simply not a fast guy.
He's not fast, but he can still blow by guys.
I think
even on defense.
Look, using your handles to blow by people is not the same as being fast. It's like
look, if you're a 6'7" point guard and you're guarding guys who are 6'2", 6'3", you automatically cannot be a bad defender, no matter how.
Why can't you be a bad defender?
Because he's not super slow. It's not like he's super slow.
I mean, he's not very fast. I think it's reasonable to assume. I think it's reasonable to assume. My point is that it's reasonable to assume that he's a below average defender. Like we can say that at least he's most definitely below average. No, he's not average. I disagree with that. And that's why he cannot be my top 3 because Giannis is the best 2-way player in this league. on hands down, he's the best two-way player in this league. No one plays defense like that. He put that on display against Miami. Jimmy Butler was in a straitjacket that whole series, and he's going to continue to do that against the Nets. Going forward, you'll watch him guard KD. You'll watch him guard anyone else, and he's going to be doing the same thing to them.
The Nets are sweeping them. I'll tell you that right now.
Nets aren't sweeping no one.
Yes,
but anyways, back to this point real quick. I just want to say that Kevin Durant, Curry, and Giannis are all better players than Luka is right now. I love Luka. I love what he does, but he's simply not. And that's mainly because his defense is poor.
I'm just gonna wrap up one last point as a counter to why his defense is poor at worst. Why is it average at worst? And even I think it can't be average because, like I said before, he's a 6'7" point guard. Look at the amount of energy he has to exert on offense. He's the only guy, as we saw in yesterday's game, if he's not doing anything on offense, if he's not scoring, they go cold is because he goes cold. And like for example, yesterday's game in the third quarter. They went on LA went on like a 22-4 run in the third. Yeah,
it's a fair point. That's a fair point. But it's funny.
Luka, physically, he doesn't have the energy to be able to be doing what he does on offense and save some energy for defense as well. If he can get by on defense,
I think in terms of Luka, it's more of a question of him having poor stamina compared to him not having the energy to do said thing. Anyways, let's move on to the next point. We're not going to find any common ground on that. Regardless, I don't think Luka's a top 3 player in the NBA. But that's your take. My next take, I have Bucks defeating the Nets marks the passing of the crown from LeBron to Giannis.
Oh, that's a very nice fantasy. I'll give you that.
It's a nice fantasy?
Yeah,
I think it's a reality.
It's not happening.
I think it's reality.
That's not happening.
Look, we've seen – everyone can say what they want about Game 1. Game 1's Game 1. And you know what? As soon as this comes out, the game will probably be on as soon as this podcast comes on because we're putting out Monday. But, yeah. We had a poor game 1 against the Miami due to a large break that we had before the postseason.
And it was
we had a poor game 1 against the Brooklyn Nets because of the sweep that we put on against the Bucks
or the refs Heat too, right?
There's no refs. I won't say anything about the refs. Yeah, a couple questionable calls, but we lost that game fair and square. It is what it is. No Harden there. We have no excuses. This is a winnable series, and it's gonna happen.
You know, that's complete bullshit. You know, I've always said the Nets are going to sweep them. You know, now that we saw Harden go in the first 40 seconds, if you guys were going to win a game and make this a series, that was the game you guys needed to win.
I disagree because he's out Game 2 as well. He's out Game 2 as well.
But now the Nets have confidence. They've played without him. If the Bucks beat them Game 1, then they're without Harden. They're like, oh, shit, we need Harden. We don't have Harden.
I disagree.
They can beat us. We're most vulnerable right now.
The Nets all year have had injury problems. I think they've played more games as 2 of the big 3 than they have as a big 3. I don't think it's a question of gaining confidence of only having 2 of them.
No, but
so I disagree with that
it's
point.
It's not a confidence, but it's basically that the Nets are super vulnerable right now without James Harden. And the fact that the Bucks had a chance to steal a game from them.
And we have another chance tomorrow.
When they were most
or today, I guess.
They didn't. Then that basically sets the tone for the series. You know, that even without James Harden.
I disagree.
When we're at basically the message they sent is that when we're at our weakest,
so what? The Bucks.
You guys
the Bucks
were
at their best. The Bucks played. Basically, our bench players did absolutely nothing. It was basically a Giannis show with Middleton ghosting
all year.
They have done something. They were the 3rd seed, and we swept the Miami Heat, who many people thought would bring it to Game 7. I just want to put that out there. Many people thought. If not, at least 50% of people thought the Miami Heat would beat the Bucks.
Did I not say it was going to be a sweep?
Everyone thought it was going at least Game 7.
Did I not say the Bucks were going to sweep?
You thought it was a sweep out of hate. You didn't think it was actually happen. If you were to bet on it, you would not say that it would be a sweep. I know that for a fact.
How many times did I say it was going to be a sweep?
You said a sweep because you needed it to happen
to
justify your poverty franchise, the Raptors, not being garbage. But let's not forget that you guys are 12th this year. We'll just put that out there.
Bro, we're not talking about the Raptors right now.
Back to my point.
The Nets.
Back to my point is if Giannis beats the Nets, forget about if it's fantasy or not. In your little – what actually was bringing to fantasy? Let's say in a fantasy world, because according to you it's a fantasy, if they beat the Nets, this is marked as the passing of the crown from LeBron to Giannis.
No.
I 100% agree with that take. Or I 100% back that take. Why wouldn't it be?
Look,
who else is there to stop him?
Because right now, too, the fact that Harden's out, What super team is he beating? KD and Kyrie? Like we talked about
KD
this
and
before.
Kyrie is still a phenomenal team.
But that's not a
Like,
super
it's
team though.
still an accomplishment to beat them.
In today's NBA, that's an average, amazing team.
Oh my God, that's an average team.
No,
that's
not
an average team.
An
today.
average amazing team. I never said.
What the hell does that even mean? No, amazing is amazing. What
No,
the hell does average amazing mean?
An average.
That makes
contender,
no sense.
An average contender in this NBA always has two.
But they're still a
good
contender.
duo.
But they're still a contender. That's my point. You're still beating a great team.
But like for example, that's like saying if Luka beat the Clippers, then I can say, oh, then Luka's passing the torch. Then LeBron's passing the torch to Luka.
But no, because Kawhi and PG is not the same level as KD and Kyrie.
Yes, they are.
KD's a better player than either of Kawhi and PG. And Kyrie, if we're comparing KD to Kawhi, KD's a better player than Kawhi is. And if we're comparing PG to Kyrie, Kyrie's had a phenomenal – Kyrie's been a better player this year than PG has. PG's been garbage. Let's talk about that.
We're not in the bubble anymore. PG has had a good year.
PG has been bad.
No, he hasn't. No, he has not.
Bro, regular season PG is different than playoff PG. PG in
Even
clutch
in the playoffs,
moments.
bro, he's been playing well.
PG in clutch moments. Do you want to know what the stat is? PG in clutch moments has averaged 17 field goal percentage. Has had a 17 field goal percentage in clutch stat. In clutch
bubble last year or this year?
No, this year. In
sure?
Game tying or go ahead shots, him and Kawhi together have averaged or have shot 70% field goal percentage. 17, not 70.
In what? In the clutch?
In any game time or game tying or go ahead shots in the clutch.
Is that throughout their history?
No, that is just in this series. So I don't want to hear anything about how PG is a better player than either of KD or Kawhi or KD or Kyrie.
I think
both of them are 100% a better team. Blake Griffin looks like he's back in his goddamn prime too. Let's not forget about that.
Oh, so Blake Griffin's he's a superstar again?
He's no superstar, but he's a great player. He's been a great role player so far. He's gone above expectations so far.
But
so now it's time for Giannis not for Giannis. It's time for Chris and Drew to step up, which they will do. And when they beat them and when they make the finals and win the finals this year, it's the passing of the crown.
Look, even if number one, they're not going to beat them. Even if they beat Harden, like for example, if they win the NBA championship this year, if he beat LeBron in the finals and he had to go to the super team,
but LeBron couldn't even make it there. Nah, LeBron couldn't even make it there. That's not. You can't knock Giannis for that. LeBron couldn't even make it there. The Suns were a better team, so he's going against a team that beat LeBron. It doesn't make any sense to me.
So you think the Suns? So okay, but obviously I'm saying If for example, if he beat LeBron and he beat the big three fully healthy. Even though it wasn't going to happen, if he somehow pulled that off, then yes, there's some truth to your point. But number one, the fact that Harden's out, even if he beats this Nets team without Harden, which he won't, that's not like a monumental win. And the fact that he's not playing LeBron in the finals, like, and if you look at the West, they're all like, there's no like clear like super team, like big super team.
All right, move on.
My third and final point. I have that the Celtics are absolutely retarded for promoting Brad Stevens to the front office.
You know what? This one, I'll agree with you on this one.
Because
stake your claim. Why?
Yeah, I think Danny Ainge is ducking smoke. You know, he's like a little dirty GM. You know, we all saw how he screwed over Isaiah Thomas with the trade, everything that happened. You know, that was a pretty like dick move if we're gonna be honest about it. And yeah, you know, Brad Stevens, one of the best bright young minds in the NBA. Look at the Celtics. The past 4 years, they made the conference finals 3 times in the past 4 years. I honestly don't, other than the Golden State Warriors, maybe the Cavaliers, I don't think any other NBA team could do that.
No, yeah, I 100%
honestly
agree.
Don't think anything. So, like, basically the fact that you're going to fire a coach for that.
Yeah.
Especially with
not
so
fired.
Oh, I guess, like, promote. Yeah. That actually is no, I didn't really mean it as firing him, but I guess just moving him to the front office, even though it's a promotion, it's a bad move.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think part of the story that like we haven't really touched on or talked about, I do believe that it was also partly his decision. Like they said, listen, we got this job opening if you want. I do believe that he also wanted to become this position. Like apparently he was saying that it was like a dream job for him to be like a GM type person in the NBA. So you know what? If he wants to do that, then we can't knock him for that. It was if it was his choice, it was his choice. Simple as that. I do think that the Celtics are losing a phenomenal coach in Brad Stevens. I think that he's one of the best coaches like at the X's and O's. I think there's still desire to be left for his ability to make adjustments in series. It's still a little bit questionable, but let's not forget this is a young guy. This is still a young guy developing with a young team.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are both 23 and 24 respectively. I'm not sure about Jaylen Brown's age, but approximately around there.
He's probably about a year
Somewhere
older
around
than
there, exactly. These are two young, budding superstars. Well, Jason Tatum, superstar, Jaylen Brown, an all-star. But these are two young, budding players that will be phenomenal in this league in a couple years. And Tatum already is phenomenal. And to be able, like you said, make 3 conference finals in the past 4 years is a great accomplishment. I'm not sure who they're going to find to replace Brad Stevens and expect better results. What they need is a better player. They need a better third option. I don't think Kemba cuts it. But I'm very interested to see who they decide to hire because I think they're going to be losing a great coach in Brad Stevens.
I think they have, because like you said, with how like a young coach and a young team, like if they stay together, man, they could have like been like basically like I don't know about dominant, but like literally like a contender. Eventually build themselves into like title favorites, but a legit contender every single year for the next like 10 years
for many years.
So it is too bad. I agree with that.
Yeah, no, I think it's just sad. Like, what exactly do you expect from a team like this? You have 2 young guys with a veteran in Kemba Walker, I guess. But these are 2 main guys in the team, and they've been doing bits. They've been playing well. Like, what do you expect against a team like the Brooklyn Nets? All 3 superstars up against a superstar and an injured Jaylen Brown wasn't even playing, and then Kemba Walker, who has been, in my opinion, poor this season.
Subpar, for
exactly.
Sure.
Even last year against the Miami Heat, very close series. It edged out towards the Miami Heat. Even before that, against the Bucks were just a better team. Like, these are all good teams they've gone against. I just don't know exactly what they expect in a league where the Milwaukee Bucks exist, where the Brooklyn Nets currently exist, and then the 76ers exist. I think that you just got to give these guys more time, and I think that possibly time ran out for Danny Ainge, and that's what caused this whole domino effect. So I guess we'll see what happens. And all right, guys, our last point today in this new series, the Hot Takes. I've got the Atlanta Hawks winning this series against the 76ers.
And that's a pretty big take.
Yep.
Big take. You know,
I gotta say that.
I just want to ask you, what's your kind of like, reasoning behind you, if I can like tap into your mind.
For sure.
You want to explain yourself there?
Yeah, I appreciate that for sure. I think that what I'm thinking here is that they took game 1. We figured that out. And I just feel like this team is so underrated. I have to give Nate McMillan his flowers. He's done a fantastic job. Pacers gave him the boot. And look what he's done now. He's done a fantastic job with this young, hungry, gritty Hawks team. And I love them. I love that bad energy they've got. I love like how they feel like they're like the team like that's got to throw that first punch every single time. I love what Trae Young brings to the table. I love that he's got players that back him up no matter what. Those guys are like the big guys, those dogs in Capella, those dogs in Solomon Hill, all those kind of guys. And I just love this young group of players, and they've got a nice mix of vets in there too. And I think that they have everything that they need to take down the 76ers. That's all I got to say.
I would say
as Perk would say, carry the hell on. That's all I got to say.
I do like their team. This yesterday, game 1 of the 76ers game, that was like the first time this year that I've actually watched them play like for like a full game, not just like 1/2 or 3/4. And I must say I was definitely super impressed. Just especially with Bogdanovich and Kevin Huerter as well, because on paper they don't look like the most on straight up, like on paper they're not the most talented team. But when they play, I think they've done a really good job surrounding Trae Young with shooters. Even their bigs, if they're bigs, that like it's gonna come down to how well Clint Capella can contain Joel Embiid for the series, because even though Embiid's knee is still like he's playing through injury, like he like looked completely fine today. And I think if he's healthy, like if he plays like that, then I don't think Atlanta could pull off the upset, even though it's definitely like after today it is possible. But also another thing is that if you look at throughout the regular season, the Hawks averaged 12 made threes a game. Round 1 against the Knicks, 12 made threes a game. Today they had like 17, 18 threes. Those guys were not missing today. So the thing is, if you also at the end too, they're up by like 20, I want to say, with like 4 minutes left. Almost blew the game,
That's true.
I think with like 20 seconds or in the last minute, the 76ers brought the 3 without timeouts. Their youth really showed. And pressure that full court press. They were just turning the ball over. And I thought if you gave it if the 76ers had like another like minute of play, I thought for sure they could have pulled off the upset. Yeah. I just don't think if Atlanta can keep shooting well, maybe, but I just don't think they're going to be hitting 17, 18 threes a game. And Philly, as good as they played only to win by that much, I just don't see. I think Philly's too good of a team.
Yeah, and I kind of went back and forth on this, but I think we underestimate how consistent Trae Young can be. Yeah. I think he can even do even better than what he did tonight, and that's kind of crazy to say. But Trae Young is it. He is a superstar, and this guy is a bad man. Yeah. Trae Young, and he's asserted himself as that bad guy. Like he loves being there, and I love that about him. Yeah. I think that the playoffs desperately need a player like this. And I think that they've got all the energy, all the momentum, and it's just coming at the Philadelphia 76ers like a goddamn Mack truck. Yeah. So it's going to be good to see if Doc Rivers can make his adjustments because, he's notorious for making terrible rotations and adjustments in the playoffs especially. So I think this is going to be a very interesting series. I do expect it to go to at least Game 6 and possibly Game 7. But I do think that the Hawks will edge this out. Yeah. Hopefully, not hopefully. I never hope injuries on anyone, but I think that the Hawks are definitely hoping that that they can at least continue to contain Embiid and and use this small injury to their advantage.
Yeah, I think with the Sixers too, because look at for example, Doc Rivers. He had Danny Green guarding Trae Young today. Danny Green was Trae's primary defender. That stretch they put in Matisse Thybulle, who's basically a defensive specialist. In college, he was Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. When they put him in, their energy changed. And even second half, when they started pressuring and stuff, I think second half they made good halftime adjustments, and that's why they came back. So I think that now that they have one game under the belt, I think they'll do a better job containing Trae Young because of if you look at the defensive guys they have on the team with Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle, I think he should play more. But yeah, I just think based on the rotation or adjustments they made second half, I think they'll come into Game 2 prepared. They'll pick up a dub Game 2, and then I think it could go to 6 maybe, but I just don't see. I think the 76ers are too talented to lose.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. And then one last point on this before we wrap it up. The one thing I do love about this team is that it's basically the epitome of the argument of depth versus a top-heavy roster. Mm-hmm. It's been commonly accepted that a top-heavy roster is what wins you a chip, but I love to see these guys go all the way and get it done because Trae Young obviously is the keystone of their franchise, but besides that. Everyone else can get their own. Yeah. Bogey can get his own. Kevin Huerter can get his own. DeAndre Hunter can get his own. Capella can get his own. All of these guys can step up to the plate, and that's what I love. Yeah. For example, what happened to LeBron and AD? When they went out, no one could get their own shot off. No one could do what those two did. And it's kind of like someone's out, all right, next man up, we move on. Yeah. And I love that team energy they've got, similar to how the Utah Jazz play, similar to how the Bucks play. If one guy goes out, next man up, and we keep moving. Yeah. And I think that's going to help them a lot in this series.
Oh, 100%. And even to back that up, on the broadcast today, they said that during the regular season, they had 9 guys to average double figures.
Yeah, that's crazy,
which is crazy. Yeah. So, basically, and that's good, too, because basically if 1 or 2 of your bench guys are off, you're kind of guaranteed to have one guy always stepping up, basically.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
But anyways, guys, that wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed listening to our hot takes. Let us know. Hit that like button if you want to continue to see us do this. Let us know how we can improve on this, what we should leave out. If we kept it too long, too short, what else you want to see us do. Yeah. Make sure you also hit that subscribe button. It really helps us grow and get more viewers and everything. But all of that being said, guys, we'll see you next week. Easy.